And Will is coming out with a big smile on his face, like he's not worried about nothing, because he knows that all of this stuff is going to disappear. There's a Bible. Ain't no way that I'm going to be smiling, I'm going to be laughing if I know that all of this stuff is out there. The only way I'm going to be smiling like this is if I know that I'm going to be able to silence these people. That these people is not going to be able to get their word out. We have different ways to silence people. And look at the people that's surrounding Will. These are some big time
Files reveal the largest genocide in human history, and it is being hidden from your eyes. 8 million children go missing every single year. Look at all these people with black eyes. Politicians, your famous actors, the Pope, high-level people, they all participate.
They said Jay-Z was my dad. They said this situation.
You asked Epstein where the torture videos are? Well, they just fucking found him. His name is Ahmed bin Sayem, and he is the chief executive officer of Dubai.
Found out that Dr. Mark Landon, the head of the OBGYN department at Ohio State Medical University, has been receiving payments from Jeffrey Epstein for years. And you automatically know what the he was doing for Epstein. He was delivering babies that nobody wanted. He was getting rid of babies, and he's treating STIs. That's
door to Dwayne's dressing room, and that's when I see Dwayne and having anal with Will.
Let me process that for a second.
There was a couch, and Will was bent over on the couch, and Dwayne was standing up on him. Murder. It was murder there.
Charlie Mack. So Charlie was with me every step of the way. First out the limo. So Charlie has been with me, 30 years coming up in the business. So, he's surrounded by a whole lot of strength. He's surrounded by a whole lot of love. And all he has to do is add discipline, and he gonna be all right.
It's like Uncle Will, Who is best to give you advice? And it's Will Smith, and I'm getting so much good advice. I got my first acting role, Empire, and it's changing my life. And it's like I'm listening from the greatest, and it's like making me well prepared to work with Taraji and Terrence Howard.
What the F is wrong with you? And he was like, you know. He said, Will me. Diddy made me suck his pee. You know what's going on. Charlie made me suck. And I said, I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea. So he crying, no blood is coming from his nose. Yes, you do. Yes,
you see allegedly on the tapes.
Tyrese with Will and Jada. Then the one with Charlie Mack and Will. Jada's not on it, but you can hear her say, make him spit up, period. So when these tapes come out, people will know I'm telling the absolute truth.
Sexual, they do weird things in their house, and young men have left their house screaming to get away from them in their mentorship. Meek Mills, Bashir Gray, left that house screaming. August the only one that stayed, and I guess he was really sick. He needed a dog.
Actively, including Will Smith. Let's not leave him out. Why your son hates you? Why does your son hate you? What did you do to
feel too embarrassed to file his lawsuit against Diddy for what Will and Diddy did to him? With Jaden and Justin present, that tape exists.
Okay.
I really hope none of that baby oil was used on those kids. That would just be in bad taste. Baby oil on babies.
You can't say that the flavor camp was sponsored by Johnson & Johnson. You just come on. Come on.
Starting to sound that way, ain't it?
No.
All that talent, and she let Charlie tune that boy up on, knowing that he was bipolar and had ADHD. What kind of mother would do that to her son? Turn him into a so you could pretend to be something more than what you are, which is nothing more than a Philly whore. You're a big old and they're making your son out to be, that's for sure. Cause he didn't have no choice. You was down by all. I'm sorry. The Bashir conversation for me is not easy. Because I came to Bilal and I asked Bilal to help me save the kids, and all he was worried about was his fucking book.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely.
Don't nobody care about these kids. Don't nobody care about these kids.
Smith was beefing with his mother and wanted to move out because Jada allegedly was blowing Tyler the Creator's back out. So when Jaden went public talking about Tyler the Creator, that's my boyfriend. Look, he's right there in the crowd. That's my boyfriend. He was really trying to show his mother up. He was really trying to show up Jada. And you remember, Bilal said that Jada Pinkett was smashing Jaden's friends and boyfriends, not just August out.
Want family. That's what we've been taught. We've been taught to we live, we grow, we create a family. I mean, that's what you do. You be with your family. You know what I'm saying? So, it's a void out here for a lot of people. I know for me, I feel a void in my life because I can't get down with my family.
Doesn't sound like that he believes it was that. You know what I mean? Like he said, after the car accident, the most serious car accident, and the car flipped 6 times, he wakes up in the hospital. You know what I'm saying? Buck naked in a gown, buck ass naked. You know what I mean? And when he finally woke up, and it could have been weeks later, that they told him, you know what I mean? At least a week and a half later, it had to be. But they told him that he had pneumonia. So, and he said he don't believe none of this, you know? And I'm like, man, this is just, it's just so much chaos. And but he said, Jamil, I want to interview with you because he's still worried about how his location got out there. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to sit here and let y'all blame Tasha K or blame Tasha K's finger waves. I'm not going to let y'all do that because we don't know that. He never said Tasha K gave his location up. Pure survival. He never said that Tasha K's finger waves gave up his location. He just said, I don't know. It was very creepy and mysterious how these people was able to track me down. And now ICE is trying to deport me, saying that I allegedly committed a crime in Colombia. You know what I mean? And he said that if you look it up, you can see that Will Smith and Jada has ties with Donald Trump. And they have ties with Donald Trump's clip-on toupee. So he believes that allegedly they was involved with that. Yeah, I'm saying that they paid Donald Trump's toupee a check, you know what I mean, to help silence.
How do you respond to the allegations that you bruised Brian Josephine?
Come on, man.
Is that really funny? Yeah? Why did you fire him?
These people are confronting Will. Why is Will laughing when they're asking him about these allegations? Now I'm very in fear for the violinist, and now I'm very in fear for Bashir. Shout out to my baby coming in the building and everybody in the building. Yes, I am very serious. This is what the sister is stating, but she doesn't believe it. Neither do I. Pure survival. How the hell did he go from going to the hospital to pneumonia? Now y'all trying to say that he's brain dead, so she can't talk to him. Nobody can find out. Yo, listen. We got a ban. Listen, look how Will Smith reacted when they asked him, and then he's surrounded by these big-time, rich, white bodyguard dudes telling people, look, don't ask him no questions. Will is smiling and laughing.
He's smiling. That's the part that's unsettling everyone. While explosive allegations swirl around him, while former insiders are speaking out, while lawsuits and whispers grow louder by the day. He's grinning like a man who already knows how this story ends. And in Hollywood, when someone smiles at the exact moment they should be worried, people start asking dangerous questions. Because either he knows it's all nonsense, or he knows it's all going away. What started as scattered online accusations has now spiraled into something much bigger. A former assistant, once trusted inside one of the most powerful celebrity households in entertainment, is now at the center of a growing storm. He claims intimidation. He claims threats. He claims that when he refused to stay quiet, the pressure intensified. According to court filings, he alleges that a confrontation at a birthday celebration turned hostile, with warnings that his life and reputation could be at risk if he continued speaking. Instead of backing down, he doubled down, giving interviews, escalating claims, and painting a picture of an elite mentorship circle that, in his words, was far darker than anyone realized. And just when the story couldn't get more dramatic, it took an international turn. Days after filing legal action, he left the country, reportedly out of fear for his safety. Then came the accident, a violent crash that left him hospitalized and unconscious. Supporters call it suspicious. Critics call it coincidence. But in the court of public opinion, timing is everything, and the timing here raised eyebrows. Now, with renewed attention on past Hollywood scandals and sealed documents making headlines again, his allegations are resurfacing with fresh momentum. Meanwhile, the silence from the A-list couple at the center of it all has only fueled speculation. There have been no sweeping defamation suits, no aggressive public rebuttals, just carefully measured responses and that smile. When confronted directly, he laughed. Not nervously, not angrily, just calmly. And in an era where celebrities scramble to protect their brands at the slightest rumor, that reaction has people talking almost as much as the allegations themselves. Other controversial figures have echoed similar claims in past interviews, adding layers to an already tangled narrative. Stories of power, influence, mentorship, control, all blending into a larger conversation about what really happens behind the velvet ropes of fame. Supporters of the accused call this a coordinated smear campaign. Supporters of the whistleblower call it bravery. And somewhere in the middle sits the public, watching closely. Now the question isn't just whether the allegations are true. The question is why this story refuses to die. Why every attempt to bury it seems to resurrect it louder than before. And why, if it's all fiction, no one has decisively crushed it in court. In Hollywood, perception can be just as powerful as proof, and right now, perception is running wild. So, is this a desperate grab for attention? A calculated attack? Or the unraveling of something much bigger than one family's reputation? One thing is certain. If more receipts surface, this won't just be gossip anymore. It will be a reckoning. He's smiling. Not the tight, forced smile of someone dodging a scandal, but the relaxed, almost amused grin of a man who looks like he's already 10 steps ahead. Cameras flash. Reporters shout questions about allegations, lawsuits, whispered tapes, former insiders. And instead of outrage, instead of panic, he laughs. That's the image that won't leave people's minds. Because psychologically, when someone is accused of something explosive, you expect defensiveness. You expect denial. You expect anger. But confidence? Calm? Humor? That's what's turning this from gossip into obsession. Is that the smile of an innocent man who knows the truth will clear him? Or the smile of someone who believes the storm will never truly touch him? The story cracking open behind that grin centers on a man who once stood just a few feet away from the power. Not a random blogger, not a distant critic. A former assistant, someone who handled schedules, private calls, behind-the-scenes logistics. Someone who wasn't watching from the outside, but living inside the inner circle. He claims he saw things, heard things, experienced things that shifted his understanding of what was really happening in that glamorous orbit. At first, he says it was subtle pressure, warnings to stay loyal, reminders about non-disclosure agreements, hints that reputations can be erased as quickly as they're built. Then the tone, according to him, changed. What began as reminders became alleged threats. He says he was told that speaking publicly would end badly, socially, financially, maybe worse. And he didn't just whisper these claims into obscure corners of the internet. He went public, sat for interviews, repeated the allegations, added layers. He described a culture of control disguised as mentorship, a network where access and influence blurred uncomfortable lines. The more he spoke, the more people leaned in, not necessarily because they believed every word, but because proximity creates intrigue. When someone that close steps forward, the audience pays attention. Then came the confrontation that he later detailed in legal filings. According to court documents, he alleges that during a birthday celebration in 2021, tensions exploded in a hotel lobby. He claims he was approached by Jada Pinkett Smith and members of her entourage, confronted about rumors that he was sharing private details. He describes the interaction as aggressive, alleging that he was warned about what could happen if he continued talking and pressured to sign additional agreements. These weren't just podcast claims anymore. They were statements attached to a lawsuit, filed and time-stamped. Legal language replaced internet slang. Intimidation, threats, emotional distress. Whether the claims are true or not, filing them in court changed the temperature of the conversation, because now there was a paper trail. And then, just when the story seemed to settle into a predictable back and forth, it veered sharply off course. Days after escalating the dispute, he left the United States and traveled to Colombia. He later said he was concerned for his safety and wanted distance while the situation unfolded. Within a short time of arriving, he was involved in a serious car accident. Reports described a violent crash, hospitalization, weeks of recovery. Supporters immediately called the timing suspicious. Critics dismissed it as coincidence amplified by paranoia. But in scandals, timing is oxygen. The fact that it happened so soon after his public allegations injected a new level of drama. Questions multiplied. How did anyone know where he was? Was it random? Was it truly just tragic luck? No confirmed evidence points to foul play. But in the court of public opinion, unanswered questions are often enough. Meanwhile, back in Hollywood, the response for Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith has been notably restrained. No explosive press conferences. No sweeping defamation suit aggressively dismantling every accusation. Publicly, they've largely kept their focus elsewhere. And when he was confronted directly by reporters about the allegations, Will smiled. He laughed. He brushed it off. For some viewers, that reaction signaled dismissal, as if the claims didn't merit serious engagement. For others, it felt chillingly composed. In celebrity crisis management, the standard playbook is either aggressive legal action or emotional denial. What we've seen instead is controlled calm, and that calm has become part of the mystery. Adding fuel to the fire is the fact that this isn't the first time similar rumors have circulated. Other controversial commentators have previously hinted at unconventional mentorship dynamics in Hollywood. None have produced verified evidence that confirms the more extreme claims, but the repetition itself creates what audiences interpret as a pattern. When multiple voices, even polarizing ones, describe overlapping themes of power, influence, and blurred boundaries, it plants a seed. Is it coincidence? Is it coordinated? Or is it simply how rumors evolve in the age of viral media? Right now, the situation exists in a strange space between allegation and narrative. There are lawsuits, yes. Interviews, yes. Accidents, smiles, silence, all real. But proof of the most explosive claims remains absent. And that tension is what keeps this story alive. Not confirmed guilt, not confirmed innocence, but the unsettling image of a man under pressure, smiling like he already knows something the rest of us don't. What makes this story linger isn't just the names involved. It's the cultural backdrop it's unfolding against. Hollywood has always thrived on power hierarchies. There are gatekeepers, tastemakers, kingmakers. There are veterans who take newcomers under their wing. And there are ambitious rising stars desperate for guidance, validation, and opportunity. On the surface, mentorship is one of the most celebrated traditions in the industry. It's how careers are launched. It's how legacies are built. But in the past decade, audiences have learned, sometimes the hard way, that power paired with secrecy can curdle into something far less inspiring. After the fallout surrounding figures like Harvey Weinstein and the broader #MeToo reckoning, the public became hyper-aware of how easily mentorship can blur into manipulation when one side holds all the influence. The entertainment world has seen enough scandals to understand that access is currency. Invitations to private parties, exclusive networking circles, closed-door creative sessions. These are often framed as opportunities, and many are legitimate. But history has shown that when oversight is absent and loyalty is demanded, exploitation can hide in plain sight. That's why allegations like these resonate beyond one couple or one former assistant. They tap into a collective anxiety about how Hollywood really works. We've seen the collapse of powerful moguls before. We've watched sealed indictments turn into courtroom spectacles. Even the shadow cast by the Jeffrey Epstein scandal reshaped how people interpret elite social circles. When wealthy, influential figures are photographed together at private events, audiences now ask questions they might not have asked 15 years ago. Guilt by association may not be fair, but in the age of transparency and leaked documents, perception spreads faster than facts. And then there's celebrity branding. For years, this particular couple cultivated an image of spiritual growth, radical honesty, unconventional love, and emotional transparency. They built platforms around vulnerability. They invited the public into intimate conversations. So when accusations of secrecy and intimidation surface, the contrast feels jarring. It's not just about alleged behavior. It's about narrative disruption. When a brand built on openness is confronted with claims of concealment, the cultural whiplash intensifies the intrigue. Zoom out even further, and you see a broader shift happening. The audience doesn't consume celebrity the way it used to. Fans are no longer passive. They're investigative. They comb through old interviews, resurface clips, analyze body language, and connect dots across years of content. Social media has turned spectators into analysts. And in that environment, every smile, every pause, every legal filing becomes part of a larger mosaic. So what are the real stakes here? On a personal level, reputations that took decades to build are hanging in the balance. Brand partnerships, fill projects, production deals. Streaming platforms are notoriously risk-averse. Even unproven controversy can quietly stall negotiations. If more legal documents surface, if depositions become public, if additional accusers step forward, the pressure could escalate rapidly. Hollywood has shown before that once momentum tips in one direction, it moves fast. On the other hand, if the allegations fail to gain legal traction, if no corroborating evidence appears, if lawsuits dissolve or are dismissed, the narrative could flip entirely. The whistleblower could be painted as opportunistic. The couple could emerge reinforced, citing resilience in the face of rumors. Public memory can be short when not fueled by new developments. This could either expand into a multi-year legal saga or fade into the long archive of internet controversy. There's also the looming possibility of documents. Court proceedings tend to generate paperwork, motions, counterclaims, subpoenas. If either side pursues aggressive litigation, discovery could pull private communications into public view. And in high-profile cases, it's rarely the initial accusation that causes the most damage. It's what surfaces during the legal chess match that follows. And let's not ignore public opinion. Once fans begin to doubt authenticity, regaining trust is a steep climb. Even without convictions or confirmed wrongdoing, persistent suspicion can shift how future interviews are interpreted, how red carpet appearances feel, how every joke lands. Celebrity culture thrives on perception. And perception, once cracked, is hard to restore to its original shine. Right now, we're in the in-between stage, the space where nothing is fully proven, nothing is fully dismissed, and every development feels like it could tip the scale. The whistleblower is still talking. The couple is still composed. The audience is still watching. The industry is still quiet. So the real question isn't just whether these allegations are true or false. It's whether this is the beginning of a larger unraveling, Another chapter in Hollywood's long reckoning with power, or just another viral storm that will pass without consequence. Because if more names surface, if more insiders decide to speak, if one piece of hard evidence emerges, that smile might be remembered very differently. And if that happens, will we look back at this moment, at the laughter, at the calm, as confidence in innocence or confidence in control?